Hi. Hello, everyone. We will be doing the Unreal Engine workshop in here. As I said earlier, if you want to follow along, please open a first-person template project. And then we'll be making a third-person character in it. This is just because the first-person template has the assets we need and the shooting mechanics. So yeah.
You can just use this add.
Huh? Yeah, but then we don't have to add it later. Just start with it. All right. So now that you did all that, you have a first-person shooter. Congratulations. And now we're going to ignore it and create our own thing. So the first thing we're going to do is create a new folder and call it Blueprints. Just for some file structure, you know. Then we'll go into Blueprints and create a new Blueprint class. Now, as we covered in our last meeting, there's a lot of different classes you can choose from. The one we are going to want to use is the character Blueprint parent class, right here. That way we can have like the ability to walk around, movement, and such.
All right, and during any of this, if you run into problems or get stuck behind, just raise your hand and I'll come over and try to help out.
Yeah. All right, and then we're gonna, the naming convention for Blueprints is BP, and then underscore, and we're gonna call it, let's call it shooter character. Hopefully that's not what the other one's called. Enter, and now we have the shooter character blueprint. Double clicking on it will open the blueprint. And now as you see, you'll have the viewport in front of you, which is a basic capsule component with an arrow, which shows the direction, the frontward direction. So now you have your basic character blueprint. You're going to want to add the actual visual component of your character. So in the left-hand side, there is a components tab. In there, you should see a mesh with a kind of skeleton looking at next to it. This is a skeletal mesh, and that's where we will be applying the character mesh. So if you click on the mesh component, in the right-hand tab, you will scroll down to the mesh and then click the drop-down next to it. And shit, first-person character does have just arms.
Yeah, so you just add in the third-person stuff.
Okay. So now we will be adding in the third-person character stuff. So we have the correct assets. We're going to go to Add in the content browser. Then Add Feature or Content Pack. And then click the third person. And then Add to Project.
Should be there.
Yep. And now you have the third-person character in your project with all their assets. Yeah, that's my bad. I thought the first-person character had a full-body character. So now we're going to go back to our... Wait. Was everyone able to add the third-person shooter character content to their game?
I'm like 3 minutes behind, so.
Oh. Alright, now we're going to go back to the BP shooter character that we created. Go back to the static mesh. Or skeletal mesh, my bad. Skeletal mesh. And add the SK_mannequin. And you'll see him kind of standing there a little weirdly with his arms out. Just looking off to the side. You'll notice that his forward direction is not the same as the arrow. So we're going to need to change that. And also you notice his feet are about halfway up the capsule, which is another thing we'll need to fix. So the first thing we're going to want to do is go on the skeletal mesh in the transform section. We're going to rotate him in the Z value. We're going to change the rotation to -90 so that he is now facing forward. You could also do 270 if you don't want to rotate in a negative direction, but it doesn't matter too much. And also, because this is a sub-object of the capsule component, all the like rotations and stuff are relative to its parent. So like if we rotated the capsule component, or you can't rotate the capsule component. So if we scaled the capsule component, it would also scale the character and make him look weird. So let's just change that back to 1. All right. Now we'll go back to the skeletal mesh, and we're going to need to move him down about, it's like 89 or 90 units. It's between those two numbers. So in the Z direction, because we are in Unreal, which use the Z is the up axis, we're going to do -90. That's 1 second. Let me get a mouse out of my backpack.
You keep doing this.
I know. As soon as I was zooming in, I was like, wait a minute.
Aaron, is it a character you're starting with or a clerical role?
Huh?
Which blueprint are you starting with?
I created a character.
Character.
And I don't have a mouse in my backpack. Hi. You have an extra mouse?
No, I just have a mouse.
Oh, I don't want to steal your mouse.
I got a mouse in my backpack, Aaron.
Oh, yeah.
I'm installing Unreal right now. I don't need my mouse.
That's gonna take the entire week.
All right. So. Yeah. Now that I have a mouse, this makes things easier. All right. So. If the mouse would move.
Do you plug in the little?
Yeah. There's an on switch on the bottom.
Yeah.
All right. So anyways, now if you zoom in on the bottom, you'll notice that the feet are about the same level as the capsule collider. It's, I don't know if it's exact, but it's, you know, it's close enough. So now we have the mesh, the skeletal mesh within the capsule collider, so now we have a visual element. You're going to want to compile in the top left. You'll see a yellow question mark next to it, and then save. Now we have the basic layout of this saved. Next. Let's see, what's next? I didn't actually make a presentation for this one, so I'm just kind of going off memory. But,
You got it.
yeah. So next we're going to do input. Though since you created a first-person first-person template, the input should already be in there. But just for future reference, if you go to, sorry, I didn't say where I was going. If you go to Edit, and on the top bar, Project Settings, and then scroll down on the left side, you will see an Input tab. In here, you will have action mappings and axis mappings under bindings. We talked about these briefly, not last week, in the last Unreal Engine meeting. Action mappings are where you don't need a value attached, you just need, you press a button, something happens. You press spacebar, you jump. You don't need like the depth of your spacebar jump press or something like that. So that will be an action mapping. Axis mappings are such as your player movement. Moving left to right, WASD. So move forward, move backward, move left and right, and then turn right, turn left, and so on. Are all under axis mappings. So if you are creating a project from scratch, you'd have to go in and add these yourself, but since we are not, they are already there. If anyone would like, I can delete them all and add new ones. Yes.
How'd you get to that page?
I went to Edit in the top on the top bar, Project Settings, and then scroll down to Input.
Scroll down to their side?
On the left-hand side. So did you get
Yeah.
the Project Settings open?
Yeah, but,
Yeah.
oh, sorry, okay.
And then you scroll down in the bar, and it'll be under Input. So yeah, this is where you set up player input within the game. So anytime you need a player action to do something, you come here and put it in here. Then we'll later link it to the player itself. Actually, we'll do that now. So, going back to the BP shooter character. In the middle of the screen, you see the viewport, you see a construction script, and you see an event graph. We are going to be working in the event graph. That's where everything that happens at playtime happens for blueprints. So, we're gonna want to create a event for when you move forward or backward. So we're gonna right click and do, I think it's move forward, I think they call it, yeah.
Did you make new mappings?
No, I just used the ones that came with the first person.
Okay.
So if you look up move forward, you'll see access events and access values. We're gonna wanna click on the access events option. There will be a little arrow next to it, and that will create this node for us. So with this node, we're gonna want to do, well, first we're gonna want to determine a player speed, how fast we want the player to move. So we'll create a variable. On the left-hand side, under My Blueprint, hit the plus sign next to variables, and it'll add a new thing that is called new var _0, and it'll start out as a Boolean.
So there will be functions, macros, and variables. You want to make sure you do the plus next to variables.
Yeah. And then we're gonna name it speed. Then if you click on the Boolean drop-down,
Little red guy.
yeah, to the right of your new name, there are a couple options: Boolean, byte, integer, integer 64, float, name, string, etc. We're gonna wanna do a float.
Green guy.
Yeah. A number with decimals. That's, yeah. I know how to do
scale,
it.
see if you can go into project settings.
Yeah. Is it editor preferences or project settings?
Project settings.
Okay.
Might be editor preferences, actually. Sorry. I'm sorry, my DPI. General appearance, this should be it. Scroll down. User interface, advanced? No. Keep going down. Accessibility, normal vision, blueprint editor is there somewhere.
Yeah, I feel like it would be something for the whole thing though.
I'm looking it up.
1 second. We are trying to figure it out. I've done it in Unity, have not done it in Unreal. Appearance. It should be an appearance actually. Upper log.
Shoot. It is hard coded into the engine. Thanks, Epic.
So, no, you cannot change the size of the text.
You might be able to do Windows scale.
Yeah, you can do that, but that's, I don't know how to do that.
Just go to the Windows settings.
Okay.
It's probably gonna look weird on your laptop, but it'll look fine on your.
Okay,
just go
do
into
Windows settings. Yeah. Walk us through this, Haley.
Display.
Okay. System.
Display.
Display.
Scroll down.
Scale and layout.
100%. Yeah. Recommended turn it up to like 125 or 150.
Do 175.
That helped a little bit. It looks
Let's
like.
do 175.
Bigger?
Yeah. That
Yeah,
helped.
bigger, much bigger. I'll tell you if it looks good. Yes.
Oh god. This is gonna be weird, and hopefully for the recording it's also gonna be weird. Alright. So now that we have it ultra zoomed in, let me delete these. Select, delete. We're probably gonna add some of those back in later, but for right now I deleted them. So now we're gonna want to do the movement. So we're gonna do movement. Move. Right. Character. I'm forgetting the name of the function now.
You should just be able to do the
You okay?
Move. Wait, let me click on character movement. Right click.
Is it your laptop or?
I think you just gotta do it here and then I got it.
Oh wait, no.
Oh, no.
It's this. So you're gonna take the character movement component, you're gonna drag it in here. Then once you have this component in here, you're gonna drag that, and then you're gonna type in move.
Wait, where'd you get the character movement from?
You just drag it over here.
Oh.
It should be on your character. What is it?
I completely forget the name of the function.
God damn it.
It should be at the top.
Add force, find form.
What is the... No, that's not.
We could open up the other one and see what it's doing.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Hold on, guys.
That's ours. Now we're gonna go into the blueprints that they already gave us and try to remember what it's called. So this is also one advantage of adding.
Add movement input on pawn. Though.
Oh my gosh, that's what they called. Okay.
Hold on. We're smart, we swear.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
Oh.
alright, so you're gonna look up in the thing, you're gonna right click, you don't actually need this character movement.
Yeah, no.
You're gonna right click in here and you're gonna search add movement input. Should pop up here at the bottom. You click that, you'll end up with this here, should say target is pawn, and then you're gonna connect your execution tag. What's up? Alright. I will let Aaron take it back from here.
Okay. So now that we have the add movement input, you'll see 4 different input variables. You have the target, which is yourself, so we won't be changing that. We have the world direction. This we're gonna want to do right click and do get actor forward vector. Right here. This gets the direction you are currently facing.
How'd you pull that up, sorry?
Okay, right click and then do get actor forward vector. And then this will pop up. Now you'll notice all the types of variables in Unreal Engine for the blueprints are color coded. So it's helpful unless you're colorblind, then it's not helpful. Sorry, Elliot. So, but you can hover over it and it says what type of variable it is also. So we're gonna connect the get actor forward vector to the world direction. So this way, whenever we have input, we will move forward. And then we're gonna drag access value into scale value.
So it's basically saying, say if you had a controller and you were only pushing it 0.5 of the way up, it would only move you 0.5 of the way of your 0.5 of the amount that you would move forward.
It's also used when you press W, you get a value of 1. When you press S, you get a value of -1. So it tells it which direction to move. And also, I guess we aren't using the speed value right now. But so now we have forward and backward movement. Now we're going to need to do basically the same thing for side to side. So we're going to want to do move right, left, right/left. So right click and then move right/left. And it'll appear, and another event node will appear much like the previous one. Then, once you have that, you're going to drag off of it and do add movement input once again.
Who can guess what we're going to do next?
You're going to drag axis value into the scale value. Then, this is where it differs from the previous one. Rather than getting the forward vector, you're going to get actor right vector. So it's side to side rather than forward and backward.
Do you know if there's snapping, like when you move things?
Like turn snapping?
No, like sorry.
Like in Blueprint Editor?
Yeah, just make it like like little windows aligned.
You can highlight everything and press C to comment it, and then you can move stuff around like that.
Yeah, but if you're trying to get everything perfectly aligned,
Yeah.
it just doesn't sometimes.
You can right click, I think.
Right click.
Alignment? Oh, okay, hold on.
If you like click multiple ones and then do
No, I think that's
Oh,
just
straighten
aligns the
connections.
text.
Okay, that does that.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know about that.
Wait,
I feel
let me
stupid.
test
Yeah,
that.
you learn a couple of things for years.
Yeah.
Alright, wait.
All that life world experience coming back.
That didn't do anything.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be working on.
Doesn't matter.
Ah, you highlight all of them.
I don't know.
Highlight everything, and then it'll make it a little ugly because to make everything straight, they're gonna overlap. So yeah. Now we have forward, backward, and side to side movement. Alright. Next, we're gonna just see, well, actually first, let me add the camera to the player so we can actually look at the player. We're going to want to go to the capsule component. We're going to right click. No, we're not going to right click. We're going to click the add button. And we're going to look for a arm. Spring arm. What the hell?
It's spring. It's spring.
Oh, it's springing.
We're going to look for a spring arm. That's acting weirdly.
I would assume that's the scaling.
Yeah, it's probably the scaling, yeah.
So
So,
it's a feature. It's a feature.
so now that we have the spring arm, with it selected, we're going to do add and then camera.
Now the reason we're making sure that we select this is so that it'll parent it to the spring arm.
Yep. So now the camera is a sub-object of the spring arm. Alright. So now we're going to put the character in our scene. If you guys are probably still in the first-person template scene, so I'm just going to edit it in here. If you go to the drop-down with the 3 blocks in it that are connected, the blueprint drop-down, and edit first-person game mode. We're going to go to edit first-person game mode. Yes.
I think I might have closed out and then.
You should just be able to find it in first person, and then there should be a thing for maps.
Yeah. So if you go to, nope, not there. Okay, content, first person, maps.
It's like what, control space, right?
Yeah.
Control space.
And then content, first person, maps, first person map.
It's the orange one.
Yeah.
So it's like
All right.
it didn't pull up.
Okay.
Hang
Thanks,
on.
Joseph.
Thanks, Joseph.
So now that some of us have that open, we're gonna go once again to the 3 blocks connected by wires that looks like a blueprint map. Click on it and do edit first person game mode, and then edit first person game mode.
Yeah.
All right. So now we have this open. We do not need to open the full blueprint editor because it'll open a viewport, and there's nothing in the viewport. So you don't need to click that. So we're going to want to change the default pawn class. So instead of the first person character being spawned, we want our character to be spawned because clearly it's better. We're going to click the drop down next to default pawn class, and then we're going to choose BP_shooter character. All right.
Remember to raise your hand if you get behind. Okay. Figured as much.
Alright.
Hey, I got your.
Was anyone lost on the doing the default pawn class?
I got the map.
What was the last thing you just did?
Alright, so when I open BP first person game mode, I scrolled down and under classes, I changed default pawn class, click the drop down and change it to BP shooter character. And then once you do that, you're going to want to hit compile and save. Okay. No problem.
Thank you.
Alright. Wait, over there. Are you guys good?
Maybe? No?
Yeah.
First person game mode, set it.
Alright. So basically now, once you compiled and saved, when you hit play on this level, you should see the player and be able to move around. And that is all you can do currently. You cannot move the camera, you cannot rotate the camera, you cannot jump, you can just move front, back, left, and right. Yeah. Alright, so now that we can see that the movement is working, we are going to want to do the camera movement. So, alright, the first thing we're going to want to do is click on the spring arm. In the spring arm, we're going to use, well, when you click on spring arm, look up rotation. And then under camera settings, there's a little thing that you can barely read that says use pawn control rotation. You're going to want to click that. And then compile, and then save. All right.
Am I supposed to have a gun in the middle of the map?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a pickup. We're not going to be coding pickups. It's just from the first person. All right.
You can delete it.
Yeah. All right. So now that we have used pawn control rotation, yeah. Okay. We're gonna do what's it called? Turn right. All right. We're gonna do turn right / left mouse, not gamepad, unless you have a
Controller that you're using. Yep.
controller. But since I'm using a mouse, I will do axis turn right / left mouse. Okay. And then add controller. I'm forgetting the directions. Roll.
Roll pitch at all.
Yeah.
Roll is like this, pitch is up and down, and then yaw is this way.
Okay. So yaw. So we're gonna do input axis and drag off and do add controller yaw input. All right. Then you're gonna want to connect axis value to val. Yeah. Bet you guys didn't see that one coming. All right. So now we have what I'm pretty sure is left and right mouse rotation. Then we're gonna want to do the same thing so you can go up and down. So look up / down mouse. So right click, look up / down mouse.
This is going to be our pitch.
Yep. And then add controller pitch input. And then we're going to connect axis val to val. Compile and save. All right. Did that make sense to people? Was everyone able to follow along with the camera movement?
Again, if you feel like you're behind, raise your hand. I'll come around and help out.
Have roll.
yes,
You
camera roll.
turn it-
All right.
My head does.
So now you see we can look around the player. The player rotates with us. And yeah, but the character does not rotate if we look at the floor. We don't want the character to suddenly go like this.
He's not doing this.
Yeah. All right. Now we will do, I guess we can just do jump. All right. So right click, jump. Event. No, that's not the one we want. All right. You don't want event on jumps. You'll scroll down, look for input, then action events, then jump. All right. And then you're going to drag off pressed and do character jump. So you now have a jump function. Very simple. This is why we use the character like parent class, because it has great functions for your character, such as jump. So you don't have to program your own jump.
Yep.
Unless you want to do like a special crazy jump or something.
And even then, you can just extend off of the character and use its normal jump, and then make a new jump that uses the same stuff.
Just
So,
override jump.
yeah.
All right. So now you can jump. As you can see, you're very, energetic in your jump. Just jumping, yeah. All right.
You don't T-pose when you jump?
It's A-pose, actually.
A-pose.
I A-pose when I jump.
Get it together. All right.
Just like my grades, I get straight A's.
I didn't actually know that either. But
I'll
so,
do animation blueprints now if you want.
all right, you can do that if you want. All right. Now, Mitchell is going to cover how to actually make the person do something while moving and jumping. So, like visual elements.
We're gonna try. I think Unreal 5 has this built in. We'll see. It was in Unreal 4. So
You ever done animation blueprints?
I've done animation blueprints in 5, just not in a second. All right, so here, right above our mesh, we're gonna have on our mesh here in the Components tab, should have a skeleton. Go over to the details, scroll down until you see animation. It says use animation blueprint here. We want to make sure that we have that selected, use animation blueprint. And then we want to select our anim class to be third person anim BP.
Sorry, was that use custom mode or?
Use animation blueprint.
Oh.
And then the class is going to be third person anim BP. And then we can go and look at the anim BP real quick.
It should be right above skeletal mesh if you're looking for it.
Yeah, right above where you did the mesh stuff earlier. All right, let me open up my content browser here. And I'm going to go over to the third person stuff so we can take a look at this animation blueprint. Maybe. It's in here somewhere. Mannequin? Aha! Animation BP. All right. So this is our animation BP. You guys don't need to open this. I'm just going to kind of go over what it does so you kind of get a better understanding of how animation blueprints work. So in here, we have our entry state. This is our state graph. So whenever we do animation, we're going to be in different animation states, and then Unreal is going to blend us from one state to the other. So you have your normal standing state, and then when your state changes, you'll move to the new state, and that'll be walking state, right? So at the moment, we're in entry, and then we're just doing our locomotion state, which this is set up to do the whole, all the different animations for moving. What's up?
We may want to just create a new animation blueprint.
Why?
Since going on Unreal 5 early access, our third person character was the old mannequin from the
Oh, just change the mesh. It's fine. Here.
No, but they don't have the third person blueprint. So
They don't have the animate. Well, that's because their mesh doesn't have it.
yeah.
So, okay, in here, you guys are going to see more things here,
Oh no, even when they change it.
even when they change the mesh?
Yeah.
What the fudge?
They don't have, well, they have animation blueprints, just not.
Let me check this. Aaron, you come entertain Twitch for a second.
All right. If you're on Twitch or YouTube and you're using Unreal 5, you may have some problems with the blueprint because we are Unreal 5 early access. Basically, what you're gonna want to do is in here, choose the Skeletal Mesh Manny, and then for the animation blueprint, do ABP_Manny. That's if anyone watches this video back, and I'm talking to no one currently.
Because they're all here.
It's kind of looking like we're all snakes.
So if you're using Unreal 5, not Unreal 5 Early Access, not Unreal 4, if you're using Unreal 5, you're going to want to change the skeletal mesh to SKM_Manny, and then you're going to want to change the animation blueprint to ABP_Manny_C, I think, or something.
I think it's just ABP_Manny.
Oh, okay, just ABP_Manny. And then you'll be able to walk around and jump.
Yeah, so we'll show it off here. It's the old Ue4 Mannequin. And then I'll go into how it actually works. It should be set up the same in Ue5. What you're doing essentially is the same in Ue5. Yeah, so here we go. I have a jump animation. I can walk and run. We're doing our thing. Yours will look cooler than this because it's newer, probably.
Well, use metallic now instead of.
You're
Yeah.
using the Lyra stuff. There's also, what's the other one name? Not Manny. What's the other one?
Quinn. That's
You
the,
can
that's
also
the girl.
use Quinn if you want. It's the same thing.
Yeah, just do Quinn for the animation blueprint, ABQ Quinn.
And Quinn for the skeletal mesh.
Also,
Yeah.
oddly enough, you guys butt physics as well.
Yeah, basically they actually have skin or sort of like skin stretching on that. This one's more robotic, so have fun with that.
It's like a swing thing.
But yeah, so that is actually getting it motion. We'll go into doing more stuff, but right now I just want to actually go over what we're doing here in the animation blueprint so you guys understand it better. So whenever we enter into the game, we're going to do this entry state. That's going to take us right over to Locomotion, which you can see we're in right here. Then we use Locomotion, which is another state machine, which right now we're idling. And so then whenever we move, we're going to move over to the walk-run state. That's where we're doing our walking and our running animation. And I mean, do you guys want to look through this on your own? I can do that, but it's going to be different for them. Basically, go to characters, or mannequin. For me, it's characters for you, I believe. Inside there is mannequins, and then inside of mannequin should be a folder called animations. And basically, there should be whatever animation blueprint you're using. Click on that animation blueprint. There should be an icon for it. Once you click on it, you double click on it, it should open this right here. You don't need to open this to follow along with this. I'm just explaining how this works.
And then you're going to want to go to anim graph on the
Yeah. Yeah, so we have our locomotion pose, and then our main state pose that outputs here. So our output pose. So don't have any questions about how this works? Essentially what we're doing is that each of these states here, I go into idle right here, it's got a animation that's assigned to it, you put that in. This has a curve for basically how it transitions between the two animations. You can play with that if you really want to in the animation editor, but we're not going to do that because I don't want to screw this up. Anyways, this just goes into your pose, and then this is in a state. If you want to make a new state, for instance, say we want to have a walk state and then a run state off of this, we just place a new node. We'd call it add state here, and then we can name it. This is a transition rule to tell you when you can move from one state to the other. So I will just get rid of this one. And then we can look at these. So this is just saying when is moving is true, which is done just like our blueprint in our event graph here, which is just a preset. It's going to set a Boolean and say is moving whenever we're checking here. And it's going to check to see, okay, we're going to get a character movement component on our character. We're going to see if what our current acceleration is, what our ground speed is, check to make sure that our acceleration is positive and that our ground speed is above a certain value. If so, we're moving, and then it's going to start the moving animation. Does that make sense? I hope so. No one's nodding their head saying, I don't understand anything, screaming. All right. Maybe? You don't understand? Okay. All right. But yeah, so that's basically what happens with animation blueprints. I'm not going to save that. But basically that's what's going on. So we'll now move on here.
All right. Next. I guess we can, should we do enemy or shooter? Shooter.
We can make an enemy. I like that.
Okay. So next we're going to make an enemy to move around and attack. I mean, well,
Move around.
we'll see. We'll move around. We'll start with the basics. Okay. So we're going to want to go back to our blueprints folder, right click, blueprint class, and we're going to want to make I think another character.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to want to make another character. And we'll call this BP underscore enemy. Okay. Then we'll open that. Alright. So now we have the enemy created. It's just the same as the original thing. And we're going to need to add the skeletal mesh once again. So we're going to want to go to mesh, scroll down, skeletal mesh. Choose whichever one you used for your other character. Just choose that one again. Or you can choose
The other
Quinn
one.
if you chose Manny, or Manny if you chose Quinn. So we'll just choose the same one. Then we're gonna add the animation blueprint again. Third person anim blueprint for me, or whatever you used on yours. Then we're gonna want to rotate it -90 degrees and move it down -90 in the Z direction. So it's just the same setup as our original character. All on the mesh component. We will not be adding a camera to this person because they are AI, and you don't add cameras to AI.
This is just a question.
Yeah.
Why do we have to change the rotation and the z-axis coordinates?
All right. So he asked why. Sorry. They asked why we have to change the z-axis rotation and position. I don't know, just because that's how it comes in.
It's also because the forward arrow that you have is what all the scripts are going to use to reference what the actor's forward vector is.
Oh yeah, and for the position, you're gonna want to align it to the capsule collider. You want, you know, the person's feet to be on the ground, not halfway in the air.
Which is what's happening with my 4-in-1 project.
Nice, fun stuff.
Collisions.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've spent like 5 hours refactoring and stuff.
I spent like
Are you
5.
done?
What?
No,
Me? No.
Yeah. No.
I finished part 3 last night. I spent
Alright.
5 hours trying to debug a simple scope issue. I was trying to set up my publisher in the loop when I should not have done it in the loop. So I was running, it just wasn't sending the message to the subscriber.
Actually, do you have experience with behavior trees?
Huh? A little bit.
Alright, because I have not, so I was just gonna do it through blueprints.
Just do it to blueprints.
Okay. So
Just keep it simple.
the Unreal has something called behavior trees to help with AI. I have no idea how to use that, so we're not gonna use that.
It's a little complicated.
Yeah. Alright. So, what we're gonna use instead is a function called move to. Move to. AI move to. Beautiful. Yeah. So, well, we're gonna want to do this. Currently, we're just gonna do a very basic move to prove it works. So we're gonna want to create the begin play event because I deleted it and I immediately needed it back. So right click begin play and then drag off and do AI move to. It should have a bit of a weird symbol compared to everything else. It should be like a little like window looking thing. So now you have the event begin play AI move to. The pawn, we're going to want a reference to self to determine what to move. So right click, just search self. There's also a shortcut, but I don't know what that is. So yeah, now you have a reference to yourself to know what to move. Then the destination. What do we want the destination to be?
Just pick a point.
All right, wait, let me make sure the point's in the well. Let's see, what's this point? This is at 1, oh, Jesus. Okay, I'm clicking this box and copying that position. Actually, where does the player spawn?
Over there.
Why is this not 0, 0, 0?
Because it's not the world origin. It's all based in centimeters. Just pick like 1,000, 1,000, 1,000.
All right.
Or 1,000, 1,000 something.
So we're going to do destination as 1,000, not 1,099. 1,000, 1,000, and then 0 as the destination. You can also like get a position of something. So like if we were doing a patrol system, we could make objects that we could place within the world and it would get their position. Or we could do target actor, which means we just put a reference to something else, like either the character or we could put an object
That
in the
honestly
target
might be
actor.
the easiest way to do it. Just have them chase the character.
True. All right. I guess so. I'm gonna do this first, and then because we need to add a variable for the character, unless we like get. Actually, we can get character controller, can't we? Right?
Think so?
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna try something. I'm gonna clear the destination. Do get character.
Get player character?
Get player character. That's what we want. So get player character. This will just get the player in the world, and then drag off return value and into target actor. Sorry, I needed to sneeze. So it's just, okay. So then we have acceptance radius. This is how close we want them to get to us before stopping. Like, do we want them to literally be on top of us or like 10 feet away just staring, right?
10 feet away.
And then stop on overlap. It's just if you stop when you start overlapping with it. We're gonna check that, sure. And then acceptance, we'll leave that on 5. Then you have a couple things coming off of it. You have on success. So once you reach the point you're moving to, what do? You have on fail. I think that's like if you can't move to that position. Movement result. The result of your movement. I forget exactly what that does. And then just another execution thing that's like one just after that. So, yeah. Now we're going to compile.
We can just do
Save.
like a print statement if it's successful.
Okay.
And then do print.
And then
string.
print string.
And then instead of saying hello, say gotcha.
Gotcha. There we go.
Yeah.
So on success, we're going to drag off, search up print string, and then change the string to be gotcha. Print string will just have a little message up here in the top left corner of your editor
Yeah.
when you run it. So then we compile and save. Anyone lost on the AI move to?
All good?
Cool.
Cool.
All right. Now we just need a reference. An enemy in our world. So in my very small window I have on my laptop, I'm going to drag off BP enemy and just place it in the world. You can just drag in place and it should like teleport upwards. Alright, so now you have an enemy in your world. Then we're gonna run it. And hopefully the enemy should move to you. Except it doesn't. So, let's see.
Because we're only doing that on event begin play and not event tech.
Hmm?
We're doing that on event begin play and not event tech. Must.
Tick? Oh, okay. I guess we can do it on tick also.
Well, I
So-
mean, is it only going to do it once, or what's this clock set? Hold on.
Not this drag off.
Does it need an AI component?
Maybe. No, it doesn't need any of those. I'm going to test something. You don't have to follow along for this part. I'm just testing it. Yeah, that doesn't work. All right. So now we go into debugging. On fail, I'm going to try print string. You failure. You know, some optimistic wording to keep me. Yep, it's failing. So, oh, I feel like I know what it is. All right, so we're gonna go back to BP shooter character. Click on character movement. Search, possess. Nope, not on that one. On BP shooter character, on the parent object. Possess. Yeah, this is the one. Okay, so in the BP shooter character class, we're gonna go to BP shooter character and then search possess. And then auto possess player, you're gonna change it from disabled to player 0.
So basically, the game mode reads in a number of players, gives them all an index. This is useful for like multiplayer games where you have multiple players, each one gets a number. This is just saying auto possess the first player because we're just doing a single player game at the moment.
Yeah. So now you have auto possess the player, and it should hopefully work this time. And no, it doesn't. Fun stuff. Yeah. Let's try to put event check again. Why is AI move to not working? This is great.
Thanks for
Oh, you're
Dragon.
Here. Oh. That's a lot of you failures. Okay. Stop on it. Let me try printing the. All right. So I'm just gonna try to print the position.
Do you have a nav mesh?
No, we don't have a nav mesh. We don't have a nav mesh. No. Yeah. Okay. So.
You should be able to P this liquid.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that means we don't.
Nope. All right. Yeah, that.
That'll do it. That'll do it.
All right. So we didn't put a nav mesh in the world.
What's a nav mesh?
A nav mesh is so that the AI can move to locations, figure out what is an obstacle, what it can run into, what it can't. So in the place actors panel, you're going to want to search nav and then do nav mesh bounds volume.
Yeah.
How did you open the place?
Oh yeah, it's not open on everyone's. I think window.
It's this actually, if you go right here, it's this little
Oh yeah,
drop-down.
it's also in the drop down.
And you just go to volumes.
Oh, also place actors panel.
Oh, also place actors panel. That works.
So the little cube with the plus, click that, and then place actors panel, and it'll open it. Then you're gonna want to look up nav mesh bounds volume, and drag that into your scene. Now it'll be a little square, and you'll see it light up green on the floor. That area can now be walked on by AI, but we want more than that little area to be walked on by AI. So we're gonna drag it into the middle of the scene. And then we're going to click R to go to scaling mode. And then we just scale it up so the orange bounds you see covers the entire ground. And then we scale it up so it can walk on top of the objects also. And now the entire floor of your area should be green.
If you don't see the green, make sure you hit P.
Yeah, hit P and that'll show the nav mesh. Alright, and now the whole area should be green.
Yeah.
He does not do anything.
P doesn't do anything?
No.
Okay. Are you clicking into the viewport?
Yep.
Did P work for other people?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird. Let me-
Alright. Well, anyways, while that's being fixed, try running it again. And it works! Yeah.
Ah.
So if you press play now, the enemy should move towards you. And once they reach you, they'll stare at you menacingly. So, but if you want the AI to follow you, you'll notice it does not. It just moves to your original starting location. So, what you're going to want to do is if you want the enemy to follow you wherever you go, you're either going to want to do like two different things. You can either do on success, move to the player's new location, which just, it moves, stops, and then moves again. Or you can do continuous, so you can do event tick. It's not the best way to do it. There's a more complicated way to do it, where like you can determine how far the player is from their last location, and if it's greater than a certain value, change the location it's traveling to.
Custom events actually gets you from create custom event.
Create a custom event. Oh, yeah.
Right click in there, search custom event, add a custom event, call it reach target. Okay, and then that will do the same thing we're doing on event begin play. All that same code, copy paste it. That works too. And then on success, we will call reach target.
All right. That also works. Yeah. So, now whenever you reach a location, it'll call the custom event, which calls AI move to. So now when you start it, every time it reaches your location, oh wow, he is right on you.
You can increase the location distance.
Yeah, so we're gonna be increasing the location distance. So acceptable radius, I mean. So currently it's 5. I'm gonna set it to like, what, 15? That sounds good.
It's centimeters. And
I thought it was meters.
no, it's centimeters.
Oh wait, no, of course it's not centimeters. All right, let's try 100. All right, now we'll see if that's better. And you'll see they're stopping farther from you.
Yeah, but they're still really fast.
Yeah.
That, if you want,
What you can do is actually
Yeah.
on your character increase the speed or slow them down.
you can either slow down the character or increase your own player speed. And that can be done through the character movement thing. So, if you go to character movement on either your enemy or your player, then, let's see, where is character speed? Alright, then you have if you look up speed while on your character movement, you have max walk speed crouch, that doesn't matter to us, but anyways.
Probably this year.
So, you have max walk speed. So, that's how fast you can, walk. So, if you want to make your player faster, you can increase it to like 800, or if you want to make your enemy slower, you can decrease it to like 500, so that you are now able to outrun your enemy.
This is what happened. You wanted to walk faster.
No slower. Is it 6,000?
Oh, I thought it was at 600.
It was at 600.
Yeah.
So, were people able to follow along to slow down or speed up their enemy? Or them? Yeah.
That's calling the event that we made, which is reach target. So that
Yeah.
other red block that's above there, you did right click in the editor, look up custom event. Okay, so
Yeah,
then
and
off
then-
that, you just look up the name of the custom event and it should call it.
Yeah, if you drag off on success, you can look up reach target, and so it'll loop.
No, it was like that before.
Alright, no problem.
Yeah.
Alright, does everyone have someone that follows the character now? Yes.
Yeah.
Do you have the custom event that calls itself? Alright. But it's not following the character. Is everything lit up green by the Nav Mesh?
Not everything, but most of it. I'm trying to fix that.
I mean, it's okay. And
Mitchell, can you take a look at
Yeah.
Alright. Yeah. Okay. Now, I guess we can do a basic shooting. Alright. Does that sound good? Nah, you don't want to shoot? Alright. So, we're just going to use the gun that's in the game. Well, not the one that spawned into the world. We're going to delete that one. But we're going to use like the same kind of gun functionality that it has. So, what we're going to need to do is, since we want the player to hold the gun while running around, we're going to need to go into the skeletal mesh of the player. So if you click on the mesh component, or you can do this through the content browser, but I'm going to click on the mesh component. You scroll down to where the skeletal mesh is, and you click on the little folder icon with a search. You can click that. That's not what I meant to do. If you click the one next to that one with the little arrow with a circle,
it's just using selected asset.
using,
Yeah.
use selected asset browse. Oh, I was right the first time. You click the folder with the little search icon, it'll pull up where your skeletal mesh is. So in your guys' case, it will be the Lyra person. In mine, it's the SK Mannequin. Or in your case, like SK Manny or SK Quinn. So once you find the skeletal mesh component in your content browser, you're going to double click it to open it. Now you just see the dude standing there like this, you know. So now on the left hand side you have the asset details panel and you have the skeleton tree panel. We're going to want to go to the skeleton tree panel. And this has a list of all the bones in the body of the skeleton. This is used for controlling animations and stuff. We're going to add a socket to the skeleton. A socket is something you can add to a skeleton so you can attach other stuff to it. You can attach components. You can attach other blueprints, which is what we are going to be doing, so that it'll always stay in the position relative to that. So like, if we wanted someone to have a gun in their hand, you put a socket in their hand, and then the gun will spawn in their hand when you attach it. Currently, we do not have any animations, I don't believe, for shooting. So we're going to have to make it a little weird, and we're just going to have it come out the dude's chest. But it's just so we can attach it. So, let me figure out which one we want to use. What? Oh, yeah. So, if you go to, if you scroll and find your skeletal mesh you are using, either through the BP shooter character, if you go to here and go to mesh, and then you go to the folder icon with the little spyglass, well, magnifying glass, not a spyglass, and click it, you'll see the SK Mannequin. You open that, and then on the left-hand side, you click Skeleton Tree. And that will give you a list of all the bones within the skeletal mesh. So, we're going to want to add the gun to the right hand. So, we're going to want to go to, I think it's spine. Actually, we can search hand. Oh, there is a gun. you guys have a hand gun? No? Okay. Well, anyways, we're gonna look for hand_R within the skeletal tree. Do you guys have that? Hand_R?
Raise your hand if you don't have it.
I'm just trying to make sure that it's in the other Unreal Engine version. So, now that you have hand_R, you're gonna right click. You also have hand_left, which is your left hand, hand_R is right hand. Hand_R, right click, do add socket. And it'll add a socket on your hand. Alright? Have people been able to add the socket to the hand?
We just found a hand. How do you add socket?
Alright, right click on the hand_R and click add socket.
And socket. Cool.
Alright, and it's named hand_R socket. The name is important. That's how you reference it. Remember it. So, now to see what it'll look like when we add the gun, we can right click on the socket and do add preview asset. Then it'll show an image of all the assets you have. We're gonna wanna look for something that's not in here.
The gun?
Oh, SKFP gun. Yeah, that's it. You're gonna add the gun. And currently you see it's at a weird angle. And yeah. And then you can edit the socket with the preview asset so that you can see what it would look like when the person is holding the gun in the world. Usually you want to like kind of line it up so it's sitting in their hand, you know. With this one, since we don't have an animation, the gun would always be pointed at the ground. So we're gonna do something weird and just put it right here. I think that'll work, hopefully.
What are you doing?
I'm just putting the gun directly in front of the person so it's coming out the chest.
Okay, but it still parents it to the hand.
Ah, right, yeah. So, now that I showed you how to do it correctly, we're gonna add a socket to the chest.
Because we don't have shooting animations.
Yeah. There's shooting animations in the Epic Game Store if you guys want them. We're not gonna use those right now.
There's plenty of tutorials on how to set it up.
Yeah. Up arm, lower arm. Where is the ones in the middle of the spine? Yeah, okay. So we're gonna attach a gun to your spine.
We're getting cyberpunky now.
Yeah, let's do spine 3. Okay, so on spine 3, spine_03, right click, add socket. And now it's spine 03 socket. And also, if you go back to the previous socket, you can just right click and do remove all attached assets. So you will no longer be previewing a gun in the hand. Now, with spine 03 socket, we're gonna right click, add preview asset, and do the gun again. And you now have a gun coming out of your chest.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna rotate it so it's standing up straight. And then we're gonna just move it down a bit. There we go. Beautiful.
Want to move it forward, or we like it like halfway?
Nah, it's halfway through. It's
Alright,
gonna stay there. Yeah, so now you have a gun sticking out of your chest. Through your back, out your chest. And it's gonna shoot. So, now you save that. Now, but the thing is, if you look at your viewport for your player, you'll notice he doesn't have a gun coming out of his chest.
You can't have that.
Yeah, this is a problem. Yeah. So, we're gonna have to attach the gun to the player. You cannot attach a blueprint within the blueprint editor. You're gonna have to do on begin play, attach the blueprint. So, in the event graph, for BP_shooter character, we want to right click and do begin play. Okay. Then we're going to drag off that and then do attach actor to component. and you'll see like a long list of stuff. So for this, we're gonna need a reference to the gun. We're gonna wanna go into the My Blueprint section and add a variable called gun. And we're gonna change it from a float to a, what is it called?
FP gun? Or first person weapon, it might be.
BP rifle.
Yeah, okay.
All right, and we're gonna wanna change in the value to BP rifle. So now we have a reference to the gun. Well, not technically, but we do. So we have a variable that can hold a reference to the gun. We're gonna wanna drag that into the scene and do get gun. All right. Then we're gonna wanna drag gun into target. All right, then for parent, we're gonna wanna grab your mesh component and drag it onto the parent variable. So now you should have mesh linked to your parent. Everyone have the gun linked to the target and the mesh linked to the parent.
Do you have a question?
I just
Okay.
All right. Now that we have that, socket name. This is why I said the name of the socket is important. I forget what it's called. So we're gonna go back to sk_mannequin and do, okay, now we see spine_03 socket. I'm gonna go rename socket and just Control C, just so I can get a copy of the string and not remember the name. So now that we have the name of that, we're gonna paste that into the socket name variable.
What's the parent object? Is it the mesh?
The mesh is the parent, yeah. So now we have the variables gun into target, mesh into parent, and spine_03 socket in socket name. All right, then we have a couple rules. Location rule, this is keep relative, keep world, or snap to target. So we can either keep the relative location to the keep the relative location. So if it's just sitting in the world, if it's like at 0, 0 or something, right? It'll keep its like relative location, so it'll be at 0, 0 from the socket. Or we can keep its world location, so that like if you have something in the world like over there, my backpack, and I attach it to my socket, it won't jump into my hand, it'll stay over there, but if I move my hand, it'll move relative to my hand. Or snap to target. It just snaps into your hand. I think I may have described those wrong. No, I did them. I did right. Okay. So, well, actually, let me re-describe keep relative. So, say I'm attaching this laptop to my hand, but its parent object is the table. Currently, it's sitting on top of the table. So it will then become sitting on top of my hand. Same location to its other parent. It'll keep all of its same local, position, rotation, and all that. All right.
What are the rules again?
We're doing keep relative for everything.
Okay. World simulation check?
Yes. World simulated bodies. Yep. Oh, we need to spawn the gun in the world. All right. All right, we're gonna do spawn actor from class. So before we do attach actor to component, we're gonna wanna drag back on begin play, drag off that, and do spawn actor from class. Then you'll see another giant thing appear with some options. Do people have the spawn actor from class thing in their thing? All right. class, we're going to set it to BP rifle. All right. Then there's more settings, but we're not going to touch any of those right now. Then there's a return value. That is the object you are spawning into the world. With this, we're going to set the value of gun. So you're going to grab the gun variable from the left-hand side and drop it on return value. And you'll see a set function appears. So the set function also has a variable, which is just a reference to gun. So we can delete our other gun variable and just drag off this one. All right. So now, on event begin play, we are spawning an actor of class BP rifle, setting the gun variable to be BP rifle, and then setting that, putting that into the attach actor to component. And that should, in theory, spawn the gun inside of a, that didn't work. Oh, I need a transform.
Just 0, 0, 0. Just do make new transform.
No way.
You gotta do make transform.
All right, we're gonna need to do make transform and just give it the default values of 0, 0, 0, everything, and then drag off that into spawn transform.
That's right click, make transform.
Okay. Yeah, now it works. Okay, so right click, do make transform, leave all the defaults, and then drag off return value into spawn transform. All right. Now, in theory, we should spawn with a gun in our chest. Nice. The camera kind of has some problems with the gun, but it's in there.
Can you shoot?
No, we haven't set up shoot function.
Oh yeah, the camera looks like if you move, it's like the perspective of the gun.
Yeah. Let's see, what can we do? We can disable the collider on the gun.
Maybe.
It's a feature. It's a
All right.
feature.
So, I'm going to try to disable the collider on the gun to see if that works. Hopefully.
So the gun's gonna be in the first person blueprints section of your
Yeah.
folder
So,
structure.
content, first person, blueprints, BP rifle.
Yep.
Sorry, it was
Content, first person, blueprints, rifle.
All right. Now, if you open that, there is something called sphere collision. We are going to scroll down. We're just going to delete sphere collision. Yeah. I'm sure that's going to break something in the events graph. It'll be fine. Oh, wait, it's...
And it's gone.
and it's gone.
We're going to click no on that. So, what we're going to do instead is click sphere collision, go into search, and search collision. Then we have a thing called collision presets. This is basically what type of collision you want the sphere to do. You know, whether you want it to block something that tries to hit it, so like if I try to hit the table, my hand will not go through it. Or you can have it be an overlap so that you can know when something's passing through it, but it's not gonna like actually like stop it. Or we can just do ignore, where nothing happens. We're gonna click collision presets, change it from custom to no collision. So it's a sphere collider that has no collision. Very useful, but it doesn't break the code. And that should hopefully fix the gun issue. The camera. And it didn't. No. The camera probably uses like a, the spring arm probably uses like a visual thing.
The camera it snaps back when you jump. Like it goes back to normal when you jump.
All right. You know what we're gonna do instead? We're gonna move the camera.
Might also be good to move the gun forward in the socket.
Oh yeah, we can do that also. Fine. I guess we won't have the gun stuck in our chest. So we're gonna want to go to Skeletal Mesh, the Skeletal Mesh SK Mannequin, and just drag that forward so it's not in our chest.
Maybe a little bit to the right,
Why?
so it's not in the middle of the screen.
Where's the fun in that? So,
Realism.
It's ruining my immersion.
so did people move the gun out of their chest a little bit?
Just
Is this supposed to fix the camera issue?
Maybe.
Yes.
How?
We are pretty sure the gun was blocking the camera spring arm. So the camera spring arm in, like, if you've done Unity third person, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you guys were at the talk the other week about Unity third person, when you rotate the camera around, it'll go into walls and stuff still. The spring arm makes it so it doesn't do that. If it hits the surface, it'll zoom in and zoom out.
How
Which
about
is nice.
Attach the spring arm to the gun.
No.
It was at the center of it anyway.
Because it's a different blueprint, so we can't attach the spring arm to the gun unless we want the camera to be attached to only the gun blueprint. So the character is the gun. Alright,
Yeah.
so now we'll hit play, and yeah!
Wait, what?
The camera is no longer all messed up.
Mine doesn't want to work like that. Do you have to move it all the way out the bottom?
Yeah.
Oh.
Move the gun all the way out of the body, and if you want, you can move it a little bit to the right, you know, so we can have a realistic third-person shooter.
What if you're left-handed?
We're
Huh?
gonna do it to the left.
Left-handed people don't exist, you know?
What, again?
Alright,
How far does that have to move me?
does everyone's camera now not jump into the person?
Apparently not.
Alright, so now, you know, we can do a shoot function. So if we go to BP rifle and go to event graph, we can see what the gun already has built into it. Mitchell.
There we go.
The gun has a thing called on-fire projectile event. I'm trying to figure out how to call it.
Yeah.
No, you see like.
On his unused
Your
items.
socket's like way off.
Alright, so now we're going to right click in the player event graph. Yes.
How do you move, like, in a blueprint without a mouse? Yeah.
Right click.
Right click, okay. Ah, thank you.
Yeah. Honestly, most game engines, I highly suggest you use a mouse.
Yeah.
If you don't have a mouse, it's kind of crap. So, we are going to go to BP shooter character, right click somewhere, and do, I think they called it interact. No, they didn't call it interact. I'm now going to go to edit, project settings. That's a large thing. Go to input and see what they named it. Primary action. So if you guys didn't realize, every time we made an event, we are referencing these things here. So every time we do turn right left gamepad or turn right left mouse, we're referencing this in here. So we need the names to be these things in here. So primary action, and that's left mouse? Yeah, okay. So we're gonna right click and do primary action. And add a primary action event. Then we're gonna drag off gun and do get gun. All right. Then I think it's like use. Do they have a fire thing? Fire. Yeah, we're gonna call on fire projectile. And then pressed. Drag that into that. So we put in a event called primary action. We added in a reference to the gun. We did get gun. And then off gun, we dragged. You have to drag off get gun because it's a function that is on the gun variable. So otherwise, it will not be listed. So you need to drag off gun and do on fire projectile. And then you attach primary action to on fire projectile. And that should, in theory, shoot a ball. Yeah. And as you can see, it's shooting weirdly because it's kind of pointing at the ground.
What's the key?
Left click.
Oh.
And you have a bunch of errors.
Oh.
Yeah.
How'd you get that many errors?
Well, it's probably because we're referencing the BP rifle probably thinks you are the BP first-person character, and you are not. So it's trying to do a whole bunch of stuff. But you can, yeah, it's fine.
Ignore the errors.
How does it still run?
Huh?
How does it still run?
It's not
Because
game-breaking errors. It's just
yeah.
you should probably fix this kind of error.
It's not a seg fault.
Yeah.
Dude, I had a site fault the other day, commented out the offending code, put it back in, and it worked fine.
that's how it be.
Code broke.
If you guys want to remove the errors,
Code suddenly worked.
yeah. If you guys want to remove the errors, you can go into BP rifle and then select this whole thing that says play montage and delete that.
Yay.
And then compile and save. And then you can sort of shoot the guy.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't see where you're
Okay.
aiming.
Could you come in for the animation?
Alright.
Do you have any,
We don't have much time left. But what we can do real quick, if you guys want to,
Building
huh?
So
Damage.
just send them both to the same
damage.
Yeah.
Where is it?
Alright. So, wait.
Oh, Mesh.
So, now if you guys go into content, first person, blueprints, and BP, and then BP, first person projectile. Actually, we're not going to do damage, we're just going to destroy it. So,
Weak one hit kill here.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
It shouldn't be the speed.
we're going to need to use the event hit thing. So, it's currently being used by something else. We don't really care about the physics hit thing. That's just if you hit an object, it'll add physics to it. We don't care about that. So we're going to delete that.
You said speed, right?
So, were people able to get to the BP first person projectile? So in content, first person, blueprints, BP first person projectile. It should be like a yellow ball. Alright.
I'm all for that.
And then delete everything attached to event hit except event hit itself. So currently, it looks like this. Now,
No.
we're gonna do other, which is the other object you hit,
Yeah, no.
and do cast to BP enemy. So drag off other, do cast to BP underscore enemy. This will try to cast it to a reference of the enemy, and basically seeing if what you hit is an enemy or not. You can do cast failed or the other one, which is just cast successful. So we're going to want to grab the top node, as in it successfully is an enemy, and then you're going to want to destroy actor. And destroy actor has a target. You do not want to destroy itself. Well, actually you can. But first you want to destroy the enemy. So you drag off BP enemy and into target. Then you're going to want to destroy yourself, so you don't just have a bunch of balls flying around the world. Alright. Then you're going to want to drag off again and do destroy actor, and it'll kill itself. If it's not the enemy, you're going to want to just have it explode also. So connect cast failed to the second destroy actor, which is just self. So this is what it looks like. as you see, off event hit, so when it hits something, it casts the other object you hit into an enemy character. If it's successful, it'll destroy the enemy character, then itself. If it's unsuccessful, it'll just destroy itself. Compile, and then save. Now, let's test it. And hopefully... Die. Am I shooting the guy? I can't tell if I'm shooting him or not.
We should have. Does the enemy?
The enemy should have collision. So, person's not dying.
Let's try some debugging.
Yep. So, let's go to the sphere. Make sure the collision is turned on. Collision component. Let's see. Physics. No. Collision custom. Query only. Block all. Let's try that.
So what exactly would that?
It means that, and just in case we run on the same collision layer, that we are now definitely on the same collision layer.
It just hits everything.
It hits everything.
Yep, that works.
Yeah.
And it's gone.
Now you can just drop a bunch of enemies into the world and try to shoot them all.
While they chase you.
Yeah, with your really jank aiming because we have no
Game
animations.
development.
Mine's gonna be very scary because all mine are stuck in A pose.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that.
Alright, so now as you can see we can drop a lot of enemies into the world. That guy's just standing on the edge over there.
No nav mesh.
Jump and shoot.
Oh, I guess this thing's too thin.
Yeah.
I think it shoots based off your camera aiming, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, now you have a third person shooter. Ish.
Can we move
Or actually move the camera to the
Yeah.
player shoulder.
offset the
Offset the camera to be the
Alright.
player shoulder.
So, I'm gonna real quick move the camera to be on the player's shoulder, because that's how usually it is in third person shooters. So if you click on spring arm, wait, real quick, this is very important. Never move the camera on its own. Always move the spring arm. If you move the camera, you can get some weird stuff happening. So if you grab the spring arm, you can drag its position up a bit and to the right. So now it's on the player's shoulder. We're also gonna wanna put the camera a bit to the right of their shoulder. So we can do that with a camera target offset. So if you are on the spring arm and you scroll down, there is a target offset. We're gonna wanna change the Y value to about, let's say, 60. And so now it's a little to the right of the player, and you can see the spring arm is diagonal.
Yeah. This is just rotating the spring arm 60 degrees.
Yeah. Alright, were people able to get the off the shoulder rotated?
Raise your hand if you did not.
Alright, so now you'll see the view is a bit different, and you can shoot much easier. And there you go.
Give yourself a pat on the back. You did it. You're a game developer.
Now to make your dream game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you help me with my animation problem?
Sure.
Figure it out.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that.
Alright, any other questions about this? Yeah.
What did you just change this?
Oh, so on BP shooter character, you click the spring arm and change target offset, the Y value to be 60. Any other questions? We didn't have, usually, like if you want to do like a thing where you don't just shoot a big yellow ball, you can have like other guns and do like a, like line trace to see where you're shooting. If you do a line trace to see where you're shooting, remember, do not do it from the gun itself. Do it from the camera's point of view. and do a forward from the camera, so that you can actually shoot where you're looking rather than wherever the hell your gun is pointed.
Because it'll look like it's pointed where you're pointing, but it's not.
It's not. No. So yeah. Any other questions about either this or just Unreal in general?
Hopefully this was a good start. You feel a little bit more comfortable with the engine. Think you could follow a tutorial and make something.
If you want, also, their Epic Games Store, which we're not logged into, has like so many free assets, including animations, such as shooting animations. So we can actually, you know, have a character that's holding a weapon and shoots. They also have actual like weapon, like skeletal meshes, so you don't have to do the giant ball shooter or anything. So yeah. Yeah, that's everything.
All right, and we got about 10 minutes, so I'm going to go check in on the other group.
Yep.
Before I do, quick announcements. First off, for anyone interested, there's like a remote conference going on in Georgia over the weekend. It's called Smite or Siege. Siege, that's right. It's got like a discount tickets for students, but there will be like game people there from Georgia. So if you're interested, check that out. Just look up SiegeCon. Second thing is we have our jam next week, and we will be setting up mentors. So if you're interested in being a mentor and you haven't filled out those forms, come talk to one of the officers. Otherwise, prepare for fun next week.